Let's take a look at section 4.2. In this section, we're going to look at the Hindu Arabic numeration system, and that is going to be discussed in your textbook a pretty good bit, but it's also discussed in this section, the expanded version of our decimal system, and so this is a pretty quick section. Let's start out by looking at our decimal system. We've talked about this in previous chapters, but let's take a little bit more detailed look. Here's a decimal place value chart that will help you as you work through some of the problems in your homework. And this is something that you should be familiar with. You've probably seen it since you were in elementary school off and on. And you'll have some homework problems that will ask you, you'll ask, for example, it'll say, give the meaning of the numeral 8 in the number 3684.26. So, for example, you can line this up in your decimal place value chart. And so if you were to line it up, then you would see that the 8 would line up with the 10s. So your answer for this particular example would be that the meaning of the numeral 8 would be 8 tens. So it's pretty straightforward answer. Just to have this as a reference, just in case you needed a reminder of how this worked. If you need more of these going in different directions, you can just Google this and also look in your textbook. Now we're going to take a look at expanded notation. This is going to follow up on our discussion of scientific notation that we looked at in the first chapter. In this example, we're asked to write 52,613 in expanded form. So the first thing we want to do is that we want to write out 52,613 in this expanded form where we're writing it out as 50,000 plus 2,000 plus 600 plus 10 plus 3. So we're writing out each of those place values. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of these numbers and convert them into scientific notation. So this is just going to take you back to chapter 1 and help you to remember how we did that. So 50,000 would be 5 times 10 to the 4th. And then we're going to add that to 2,000, which is 2 times 10 to the 3rd. 600 is 6 times 10 to the 2nd. 10 is 1 times 10 to the 1st, or just 1 times 10. And then 3 is just 3. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Shouldn't be too difficult for you. Now, just as a reminder, you have the decimal point, and then everything to the right of the decimal point is actually fractional parts of the whole number. And so, like 0.1 is actually represents 1/10. And then that is the same thing as 10 to the negative first power. 0.01 is 1 over 100, which is the same thing as 10 to the negative second power. And then 0.001 is 1 over 1,000, 10 to the negative third power, and so on. Now we could go back kind of to the left, and if I'll remind you that anything to the 0 power is 1 and 10 to the first power is 10. So this is just kind of reminding you of those definitions that we learned in chapter 1. We're going to look at one final example. We're writing 479.352 using expanded notation. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to write each of the numerals out. And so we're going to have 400 plus 70 plus 9 plus 0.3 plus 0.05 plus 0.002. Then we're going to write the scientific notation of each one of those numbers. So 400 would be 4 times 10 to the second power, plus 70 would be 7 times 10 to the first power. 9 is 9 times 10 to the 0 power. 3.3 is 3 times 10 to the negative first power. 5 times 10 to the negative second power, and then 2 times 10 to the negative third power. And so in WebAssign, you will actually have little boxes, and what you're going to do is they'll have a little box for you just to enter in 4, and then it'll have a box for you to enter in 7, 9, 3, 5, and 2. This is going to be a really quick section, and you should be able to breeze through this section. So most everybody really likes this section, and be thankful for a quick section to be able to work through with not too much difficulty. But if you do have any problems, please feel free to reach out to me without any hesitation. Thanks so much.